Hello, my name is Japonica Brown, and this is the chat room of I Am Japonica. The first thing I want to make sure is that everybody can hear me and see me. So please write on here if you can hear me and see me, so I know before I even get started that we're all on the same page. Can everybody hear me and see me? Thank you for tuning in to the chat room of I Am Japonica. Write on here if you can hear me and see me before I start. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me and see me. So just write on the screen if you can hear me and see me. That's really important for me to know. Hey, can you hear me and see me? You can see and hear? Great. Okay, great. Way better. Perfect. Great. Thank you for being faithful and coming back into the chat room of I Am Japonica. I guess we had some technical difficulties. I had to uninstall the app and reinstall it on my new phone. But I'm glad that you guys can hear me and see me. So this is why I want to talk to you. I know a lot of you are probably on your lunch break, or I know this is not the most opportune time, but I feel like whoever sees this is supposed to see it. And I'm just going to keep it moving from there. So I was reading this book, and it was on a section about men, and it was the section that it relates to men, and men read it. And I couldn't help but think about my last relationship and how this really affected me. And I started to think, when he started describing what a wife was to the man in the man section, Lord, was I not this? Was I not this? And what was my ex really afraid of? Because he talks about the fears of a man and why men won't commit and stuff like that. And I started to think about those things. And then I said, it started to really bother me. And I started to get sad. And I started driving. And, when I'm at home, I grew up in a climate of poverty. There was two kinds of mobiles. There was the down mobile, the mobile where I knew, where it was rugged and ragged, and everybody that looked like me was there, and we all were doing the same thing. We were all trying to take 2 pennies and make 2 cents. You understand? We were taking food stamps and selling food stamps to buy food to have a birthday for a party for our baby, so we can instill the idea in our children's head that they could dream, that we wanted them to feel special. They didn't know that we had to struggle just to buy the Christmas gifts, and that we had to deny paying bills to buy the Christmas gifts so that our babies wouldn't feel less special than anybody else. And then there was a whole nother mobile that was secret, that was set apart, that was rich, that was wealthy, that didn't look like us. I remember my mom's friend working for one of those prominent families and used to clean and cook for them. And I remember that woman asking the man, he was a doctor, could she use his address just so we could go to a school that had books? I remember. And here I am, sad about a man who didn't choose me. And the first thing I think is, I need to go to that area. And there was a house on the corner of McGregor and Dolphin, and it's big and it's white. And I remember sitting in the back of my mama's Buick. She didn't have no air conditioning, the windows was down, and I used to look at the house and I would say, I want that house. I remember saying, I want that house. And every time we would go that way, I would look at that house. I would say, I want that house. I want that house. So I was sad, and I'm driving. I've been frustrated because my Periscope wouldn't work. Reading this book. Thinking about a person who didn't want me. And I drive, and I hear God tell me to drive to that house. So I drive to the house, and I'm at the light, and I'm trying to look at the house and watch the light. And I'm just looking at the house like, man, I'm 30 years old, and I still want that house. I got very little money in my savings, and I still want that house. So now that I can drive, I drove in the neighborhood behind the house, and I looked at it, and there was a gate. I looked at the house, and I just started looking. And all these houses, it seemed like a whole nother world. It's like a whole nother Mobile. It's not even the same city. You know what I mean? Like it's a different country almost. The texture of the houses, and every lawn is manicured. And you don't see anybody that look like me. You understand what I'm saying? And the only people who look like me is mowing the lawn or delivering packages. And I said to myself, I wonder if looking and working in these neighborhoods instills the opportunity or the possibility for them to dream when they go back to their own hoods and their own prospective houses. How does working in an area that looks like this inspires them? I'm driving and I see a golf course and I see people lounging at the golf course, and I'm thinking about my mama and my grandma and my uncle and my aunt who work they fingers to the bone every month just to get a little something, to get them a little something to do it all over again. And I started thinking, Lord, how do I change the fabric? How do I change the literature of my family where my children can wake up and they know that to be their reality and not my story to be their reality? How do I change the very nature and culture of my family from poverty, barely got enough to make something, to having things at leisure? How do I change my community? How do I bring more people from where I'm from to here? How do I get there? So I'm driving. I'm like, okay, Lord. Okay, God. God's saying, you can do this. You have a responsibility, not just for yourself, but to change the very nature of your family lineage. If you didn't come from nothing, if your family didn't come from nothing, change it. Change it. I said, I remember reading The Secret Garden. It was a book when I was little. It was called The Secret Garden. It's about this little girl who would go in this secret garden and talk to this other person and all these different things that they would dream about. The secret garden. And I remember seeing one of the houses and the vines had grown over the shutters. And I thought, I was so small, but I had such big dreams. And I would run around in the woods in Brooklyn Field. If you ever know Brooklyn Field in Mobile, and there was some woods back there, and I would run and I would play and I would pretend and daydream and dream about things that I've never seen before, but I was creating in my mind because God has sowed a seed of dreams in me. I'm 30 and I still want these things. 30 and I'm still wanting these things. I woke up this morning and I'm like, Lord, I don't have a salary job. How do I make money? Everything I make, I gotta hustle for. Everything I do, I gotta push for. I gotta brand and promote. I have to change the very nature, culture of my family. So I'm gonna leave you with this. When I started working with this financial company, and I'm still trying to get on that, you know, the guy sat me down and he says, what are your dreams? Help me, God. And I know he was expecting me to say, I want a new car or a big house, or I want this. And I looked at him and I looked down on the table and I said, I don't want to cry, because it was a professional meeting. And he was like, it's okay. I said, listen, you want to know what my dream is? My dream is to pick my grandmother up and take her to a dealership and say, you can buy anything you want. Have a cashier's check and she doesn't have to make one payment and the title is in her name. That's my dream. My dream is to write a $15,000 check to my uncle so he can go to the building that he wants and put money down on the building that he wants. That's my dream. My dream is for my niece and my nephew to go to any college they want and don't have to work. Just go to school. I want the ability to severely and exclusively bless people in my life. That's what I want. I want my grandmother to have a car and just be able to go and do. I want my uncle to be able to speak to the masses and affect the community in a massive way and not have to think about the money. So I drove in this very, very nice neighborhood, and a part of me felt like I didn't belong there. A part of me felt like I was going to get in trouble by driving in the neighborhood, or somebody was going to call somebody, I don't know. And I pushed past that fear and insecurity of inferiority in America, and I watched their patriotic flags wave in the wind, and I thought it's easy to feel patriotic in a country where you are able to buy property like this and live in a community like this. It's easy to pledge allegiance to a flag in a country that you have these abilities to have these things. It's not easy. It's not easy to say I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's not easy to do that and you don't have nothing. It's not easy to do that when you ain't got nothing. It's not easy to do that when the grass is patchy from yard to yard. It's not easy to do that when crackheads and drug dealers and winos are on the neighborhood block. It's not easy to do that when you're a single mother and you got your children and you're trying to raise them in a low-income apartment complex. It's not easy to do that when you by yourself and you struggling making $7.50 or $9 an hour and you're trying to figure out which bill you're going to pay this month. It's not easy. It's not easy to be dedicated to a country where the abilities is not shared equally. It's not easy to do that. It's hard to say I acknowledge and I give awareness to this country's liberties. That's not easy. And I looked at these American flags waving, and these manicured lawns, and little babies running, playing on swing sets hanging from trees. And I'm thinking, man, what did it be like when the story of my life is just a story time, nighttime story I tell my children? What would that feel like when they know that grandma had to go through certain things and that's a figment of their imagination because the world they live in, poverty doesn't exist? And I was thinking about somebody who didn't choose me. I told my best friend the other day, I said, man, I said, it's very simple. I said, you've been single physically, but you ain't been single in your mind. You see, because we're missing the big picture. She was missing the big picture. She's making $80,000 a year and completely unhappy because she's missing the big picture. The big picture isn't for you to have certain things so you can feel complete, for you to perform in front of your audience on social media. The big picture is to bridge a gap between there and where you were so the other people can walk across that gap. That's the big picture. Teach me how to become wealthy so I can bless people behind me. Because I know what it feels like to have big dreams in a community where no one dreams. I know what it feels like to have big dreams in an area that's choked the life out of people. How can you dream of having feasts when you eat ramen noodles? What does that feel like when the culture of your family is your normality, and to even think of another way of living is so obsolete to you? What does that feel like when you don't actually need the food stamps and you don't use them and you don't need them? When you actually don't need vouchers or any kind of support? What does that even look like when you've grown up in a culture and an atmosphere and a family that's always used those things? You know, they have recycle bins in these areas on the street, little recycle bins. I was blown away. We're missing the big picture. So I name this Periscope, Let Me See, because I want to see. I was short, you know, when I was little, and I couldn't always see above things. And my other cousins or other people around me, they would be able to see, you know, see the Mardi Gras floats. They'd be able to see stuff. And I would say, let me see, let me see, let me see. I want to see, let me see. And it makes me think of that picture on Facebook, and it's a fence, and it talks about equality. It got a little dude, and another little dude, and a tall dude, and the tall dude can see everything. And the little dude is like minorities or the people of the poverty people, and then they give him a box, and now he can see. And then another picture was like they tear the whole fence down so there's equality across the board. I'm the little dude, and I'm just asking God, let me see. I want to change my family dynamic. What does it feel like to have wealth and prosperity? Let me see. Growing up, I was a debutante. I'm the first woman in my family to graduate high school, not have a baby. You know, I didn't have any children early on. And one of the rules of debutante is, you know, at that time, back then, you couldn't have children. I guess the assumption was that you were still a virgin. And there were girls that were from other areas of the city. They was from Mobile, right? And they would get these ads, and they were wealthy. They had money. I don't know how they had money. I think it was a lot of entrepreneurs in their families, and their dads owned things and their mama owned things. They had money. And I didn't come from that culture of money. You know what I mean? And they were able to be on floats in the Mardi Gras parade, and the Mardi Gras court had these long, big capes with all the decoration on it. If you're in Mobile, you know what I'm talking about. It's a wealth of money. And they were black, and they had money. And I always knew I was different. I didn't have what they had. I always knew that there was a line drawn in the sand that nobody ever talked about, but it was there. It was clear. From the kind of purses that we carried, from the hairstyles that we had, it was clear that I was not like them. Even though I wanted to be like them, I wasn't like them. I didn't have what they had. I was a Rose Art crayon, and they were a Crayola crayon. And in my whole life, I've been trying to be a Crayola crayon, not appreciating the great things that Rose Art has to offer you. My Rose Art color is different. My pink is red, and my red is pink, and my pink might be invisible. Do you understand? I was trying to be a Crayola my whole life. I was trying to be a Crayola in my career, in my relationships, and the way I dressed, the way I talked, the way I act. I wanted to be from that neighborhood. I wanted to be from that area. I wasn't embarrassed, but I wanted more. I wanted more. So I remember being in a debutante thing, you know, and I went to my mama. I said, Mama, they saying we got to raise money and we got to give this money, and I don't have this money. And my mama went to work. You understand? She went to work. She was asking people, support my baby. Support her. I know we in the same area, right? She asking the same folks in the same community that don't have nothing either. But if I put my little with your little, and my little with your little, and your little with my little, we can put something together, and we can get one out the ghetto. We can get one out the ghetto. We can get one. I'm that one. I'm that one. I'm that one. I'm that one that made it to Boston, Massachusetts. I'm that one that made it to Brandeis University. And out of 2,000 people auditioned, I was one of the 10. I'm that one. From Roger Williams Projects, I'm that one. From Jewel Court Apartments, I'm that one. From Section 8, I'm that one. Food stamps, I'm that one that rode public transportation in Mobile, Alabama. I'm that one. All the way to ABC and Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, filming next to actresses and actors on a syndicated television show. I'm that one. Couldn't believe it. I'm from me. And I come back after doing all that, and I'm at ground zero, and I'm saying, okay, God, what I'm going to do? Okay, God, I'm trying to do what you told me to do. Okay, God, I'm trying to be faithful. Okay, God, I'm trying to trust you. Okay, God. And I get discouraged just like everybody else. I get scared just like everybody else. And then the moments happen when he tell me to drive to that house that I saw when I was a little girl. He says, you can still have that house. I'm going to still get that house. And I'm going to walk in it. And I'm going to know it was nothing but God. Nothing but the Lord that gives me this house. Let me see. 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 He gonna let me see. He's gonna let me see. Let me see. I'm no different from y'all. I'm no different. And I'm just trying to encourage myself while encouraging you. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you don't have or who your family is. I don't care. I don't care. We gonna still do this. If I gotta live the rest of my life trying so my children's children doesn't have to know the texture and the literature and the storyline of my past, if I can work myself to the bone to make sure my children's children don't have to repeat my family's story of poverty, I will do it.
You have an incoming call.
I will do it. I will do it. Let me see. Let me see. I'm not doing this for me. You're not doing this for you. You're doing this for everybody else. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap between the bottom and Westmobile. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap between Orange Grove projects. Bridge the gap. Bridge the gap. My uncle keeps calling me. I gotta answer. I don't know what's going on. But I just for you guys now. I hate crying on Periscope. I'm a big fat baby. I'm no. But like that just really touched me. That I still want that house. And I know one day I'm gonna have a check in hand. I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm gonna get that house. I still want that house. Bridge the gap. Let me see. Okay, Brittany. We gonna go to the house. Yeah, I you know, one day I'll be able to like park a little bit and take a picture of it. But thank you guys for tuning in to the chat room of I Am Japonica. I appreciate you guys being faithful while I got this Periscope thing together. And we're gonna have a big party. Yeah, Holy Ghost party. And don't forget to follow me on Periscope, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at I Am Japonica, and on Twitter at Am Japonica. If you're interested in me talking to a youth group or ladies group, just email me at Japonica Brown Consulting Firm at outlook.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just pray blessings over you, and I pray that God encourages you and lifts you up. I love you guys. I really do. I love you. I don't know what God is doing and why he has me on this journey. I don't know why he's taking me all the way down to the bottom. But, you know, I'm just crazy enough to dream. I'm just crazy enough to dream. And I trust God that if I fall, he'll catch me. I don't know how to do anything else but dream. So I'm too afraid not to try. Anyway, have an amazing day, and I pray an awesome day, and that you be encouraged in your faith. In Jesus' name, amen. Bye, you guys.